consider me a big shot. What up to Stevie, Mimi, Scrap, yo, I'm on my love and hip hop. Yes, so solid, it flows through my body. And if you got it, love, I'm told that's where God is. I'm Tyrone Higgins, whenever love is given to be pragmatic. I'm just an addict for your love, I got a habit. How my problems disappear when love's connected. I never wanna take back an hour, minute, or second. What a blessing, love ain't proud, it ain't rude. Love, it rejoices in telling the truth. Love is so patient, kind, it doesn't envy. Love your friends, love your enemies. I hope this love sink in. Got love for my neighbor, agape phileo. Let me be more convincing. Maybe you can dive in and exegete or censor, dissect the scripture where Bishop we show love. Or if you a sinner, transgender like Bruce Jenner, well, Caitlyn, we show more love. We use basic math, don't subtract, divide it. God can take one love, then add or multiply it. Don't wanna swear by it. I promise if you don't have love, your life will be full of the opposite. And that's a big mistake. You trying to demonstrate all love in sync like Justin Timberlake. And that's a big mistake. You trying to demonstrate all love in sync like Justin Timberlake. If it cost $1 million, or if it was free, I love you, you love me. Let's put love together. Love sing, love sing, love sing, love sing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing today? How you doing? This is Brother Darrell McGriff with Love Sinks Ministries, and this is another episode of Love Session. So we welcome you guys to the show today. All right, if it's your first time, what we like to do is we would like to get this thing monetized. And why would I like to get this monetized? Because I want to give the money away to you. So on Facebook, make sure you like it, love it, leave comments, share it with other people. And on YouTube, make sure you go over there, leave comments, share it, like it, subscribe. That's the big thing on YouTube is subscription, subscription, subscription. We want you to subscribe. Now, what I said is on the 100 subscriber, I'm going to give you $100. But then other people say, well, why should I make them rich? Why should I make them $100 richer? So you say, well, what about me? Well, I can't give everybody $100. I don't have deep pockets like that. But what I will do is for once the 100th person subscribe and they get that $100, I'm going to run the random generator. So that means anybody from 1 to 99 that signed up, we're going to run that generator, boom. And you, if you're the winner, you'll get $100. So that's $200 out of my pocket that we will be sleeping in the dark once that happens. So y'all just remember that. Y'all that much, but y'all make sure y'all do that, and make sure when you do that on YouTube and you subscribe, make sure you put it on public so I can see your name when you subscribe. Now, some people, you know, they just like, hey, I'm just gonna subscribe. I'm not worried about the money. I appreciate that, but if you want a chance to win that money, and if you want a chance to be that 100th person when you subscribe, make sure that you put it on public so I can see your name. So now let's get this party started. It's my first interview out of 3 today. Been knowing this young lady for a long time. Man, we go back like old Cadillacs. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my sister in Christ, Miss Yolanda Williams. What happened to my hand?
Good afternoon, everybody.
All right, y'all can shut up now. Stop all that clapping. She ain't all that. No, I'm just kidding.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my brother.
What's going on? What's happening with you?
Nothing much. Nothing much. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, like they say, every day above ground, you can't be.
Right? Absolutely. It's 2021. It's time for a new.
All right. Well, I start out by asking 5 questions just to get your blood flowing, get you motivated to answer some questions. I'm gonna most of these gonna be high school questions, so I hope you don't have no high school people.
Oh, you're gonna take me back.
Yeah. All right. So the first one is what was your favorite class in high school?
My favorite class, I would have to say, was accounting.
Accounting? Dang, they had that in school. That must have been years after me.
Yes, they did. I took accounting 1 and accounting 2.
And now you're working,
yes.
Piggly Wiggly as a stock clerk. Yeah, that's all right.
We did have a Piggly Wiggly in Mississippi, but I didn't work there. But we did have a Piggly Wiggly.
Who was your favorite teacher?
Oh, now you're really taking me back. I don't know. I can't even remember my favorite teacher in high school.
Evidently, you didn't have one, because if you had a favorite teacher,
No, I really enjoyed all my. I did, but I don't remember just like I don't know if it was Miss Norton, maybe my favorite one, but I can't remember. I can't remember my favorite teacher. I plead the fifth on that one. I don't know. I can't remember that one.
Now here's the one you're gonna plead the fifth on. Who was your high school crush?
Yeah, I totally plead the fifth on that one. Yeah, I totally plead the. You going way back.
Hey, you never get a little fella some props.
Yeah, I don't even remember high school crush. Oh my gosh.
What was your first job?
Yeah, back in high school. Oh my gosh. I would have to say my high school sweetheart was Kirk Singleton.
Kirk Singleton. That's a pretty good name. You know what he's doing these days?
No, I do not.
Oh.
I haven't talked to him in a long while.
All right, but yeah, well, then this go along with that. That question goes along with this question. Who was your first kiss?
Good girls don't tell.
You weren't so good then. Trying to act like you was always saying.
Absolutely, yes. I don't even remember now. You're going way back right there, like for real.
All right. So what was your first job?
My first job was Video USA. I worked at a video store.
Oh no, something like Blockbuster.
Kind of like Blockbuster back in the day. We had VHS movies everywhere. So yeah, Video USA.
Yeah, that was old. If you said VHS, yeah, that was old. Yeah.
I knew all the movies, and that's probably why I'm a movie freak right now, because that's all we did. Every time a movie came out, we had to help people find movies.
All right, so now let's get to the nitty gritty of this. So the way I've always started, this is easy for me because I ask the same questions to everybody, but everybody don't have the same experience, so the answers are going to be different. But I'll change this one up just a little bit. So what I ask now, I used to ask, when did you first get saved? But now I ask, when did you first get saved? But then when did you first start getting serious about your walk?
I would have to say, I got saved when I was probably about 15. Actually, I got baptized then. Me and my aunt Pat, we got baptized at the same time. And that was at St. Peter Rock Baptist Church down in Natchez, Mississippi. Well, it wasn't Mississippi. It was in, I don't know if it was outside of Mississippi, but it was close to Natchez, Mississippi. But I really took my walk serious. I would have to say right after I became a mother and my oldest child, Alton.
And how old was that?
So that was back in 90. I was born in 93. So yeah, back in 93, I would have to say after that, I really started taking my walk serious. I think my walk just became more real, as a mother, and just the church I started going to, just being in the word more kind of enlightened me to a lot of things. And it just became real then because I wanted to, bringing a child in the world, you want to do things differently and you want to try to be the best you can.
Right. Okay, so now the reason I asked that because normally between that time, a lot of people are getting saved at an early age, like I said, 15, 18, 19, 20. And the reason I switched up the question from just being saved to when you start taking your walk serious, because anytime you get saved that young, you haven't really processed what is really going on with God and all that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of, we would call it backsliding then, because, you know, everybody just didn't stay in the church. We did some things, we came back, then we did some things, we came back. So that's why I changed the question up from when you got saved and when you really start taking your walk serious, because we know in between then there was some little moonwalking going on in that time frame. So
absolutely, yeah.
So now, when did you get married though?
I got married in 95.
95. Uh-oh. That tells some stories.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, we gonna about to get serious here in a minute. All right, so since you were in church and everything, and like you said, you didn't start taking your walk serious until you had your first child. So that was 93. You didn't get married till 95. So now, was there any, because like you said, now we're talking strong Bible Belt, Mississippi. So what was it like to be in the church, being young and married? Well, yeah, young and pregnant.
I would have to say it was, I mean, I didn't have any issues at all. Everyone was still welcoming to me. And I mean, I didn't have any issues. So I was still loved. I'm not treated any differently. Like I said, my fiance, well, we were engaged at the time when I was pregnant. So I just decided not to get married before the baby came, you know, but we were engaged.
Oh,
that was on me. It wasn't on him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because all right, now I got to understand this when you got to break that one, because you're pregnant, you have a fiance, but you don't want to get married until after the baby count. So what was the mindset with that?
My motto was I really wanted to see who he was before I actually got married, because I really took marriage very serious. So even with a child, you know, coming, that doesn't really mean that you have to get married. Some people believe that and they teach that, oh, you're pregnant, so you need to hurry get married. They force people into marriage, but I've never believed that. I take, you know, even with a child being here, I never thought that, like, let me hurry get married to go ahead and solve another problem. So that was one reason why I did not, you know, get married at the time, because I really wanted to feel him more, see him more before I actually got married.
Okay. So now, you know, most folks,
and I wanted to understand his walk more with Christ, because I felt like he wasn't ready. And we went through counseling and stuff, premarital counsel beforehand, but I just still felt in my spirit he just wasn't ready for marriage at the time.
Now, you know, most old heads would say, well, didn't you kind of put the horse before the carriage?
Oh yeah, I did. Of course, I did. And I wouldn't take it back, because I love my son. And if I had to do it all over again, he is my baby.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so now, me knowing a little bit of your background and all, so tell me, how did it feel, or now, because now you're away from Mississippi and now you're in Texas. So now, when it came to the part of getting divorced, being saved, being in the church, now, was any friction or side eye from the church people when that happened?
No, it really wasn't. I would have to say, really, my pastor helped me out a lot at the time, because he had already talked about different things in the, you know, in the word and stuff but because of how the church is, no matter whether you're single, no matter whether you're married, no whether you're a single mother, I mean, we've seen people that were drug addicts, you know, at our church. So everybody was accepted, everybody was loved, and there was no difference. And so I do thank God for that foundation, you know, of being there, because if anything, they really helped me embrace being in Texas, a state where I only have one family, which is my cousin, and not having any other family here. But they took it upon themselves to take on the boys, love them, embrace them, and also embrace me with the walk. I mean, even my pastor, he was like, you know, hey, this is going to be a big step for you, you know, but I'll be there with you. I'll be there for you. And he even volunteered to go to divorce court with me. Because he was like, when it's time for divorce, he said, you know, I'll be here for you. If you need me to go with you, I'll go. And so he was that kind of pastor that reached out to me during those times, because it was a turning point where I said, hey, here I am, no family here, and what do I do? So do I go back home or do I stay here? And so because of the help of the church and the support that I received, I decided to go ahead and stay.
Right. Now, see, now I'm going to tell you, because like some of the other women that I speak to, and when I ask them that question, because they're in similar situations. So when I say that God truly loved you, and I know that you love him, because most of the women didn't have that experience. And that's why I asked you that question, because that's why you get any side eye, did you get any judgment? Because a lot of these women that's single in church, not married, single and or not single, but married and then get divorced, you start getting that judgment and those side eye looks and all that kind of stuff. So for you not to experience any of that at all, then, God had you in the right place at the right time in both situations, not to feel that judgment or that guilt. And that's what runs a lot of women out of the church, because of the judgment and guilt for being in those situations. So now when I say you have been truly blessed in that you didn't feel like that at all, hey, you can't beat that right there. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed
absolutely.
When you go through stuff like that, we're supposed to be, I didn't even read my scripture. I'm sorry, y'all. 1 John 4:8, he that loveth not doesn't know God, because God is love. And so the church is supposed to be love. So when young women go through situations like that, like you said, that's when they're supposed to hug you, take you in, love on you more than, when you're just, everything's good. But when you're truly going through something, that is the time for them to truly show you guys love. And you got that in both situations. So, hey, you were truly blessed.
Absolutely. I did. I really did. And we were both, my ex-husband was involved in the church. The boys was involved. They were all ushers, but still in the midst of everything, and Pastor always taught us to make sure no matter who you're with, that you're friends first. And so with that, going through that, we were friends before we got married. We were friends after after we went through the divorce. And so it made it healthy for us to still raise our children in a healthy way without the animosity. Now, was it a point that we had it a little bit right after the divorce? Of course we did. But, immediately right after that, there were some things we had to go through, but we went right back to being friends and raising our boys in a productive way, because of the fact that, hey, they're still their father and he's still my friend. And more importantly, he was still my brother in Christ. So I had to still treat him that way and look at him that way. And even in the midst of that, most people used to always say, oh, y'all probably getting back together, because y'all get along so well. And I'm like, no, that's not it. I had to look at him and treat him like he's my brother in Christ, because that's who he was and that's who he is. Right. So I couldn't put my mouth on him or bad talk or anything like that, because he still was my children's father.
Right.
And that was something else that we were taught, even at the church, like, be friends first, because when you're friends first, you can go through stuff later and you still come out being respectful towards one another without having all the animosity.
Okay. So now I have to ask you, with you saying all that, making it sound so good. So what did you think? What was the disconnect that y'all couldn't make it work?
We couldn't make it work because it was some communication problems. And in the midst of all of that, of course, there was some infidelity, but he didn't want to go to counseling. So I gave him two options. I said, either we go through counseling to figure out what the problem is and get it nipped in the bud, or we're going to have to get a divorce. So I gave him an ultimatum. Either we go through counseling, get this nipped in the bud, or we're going to have to get a divorce. So he didn't want to go to counseling. He was like, I don't want no grown man all in my business. I don't want no grown man telling me what to do. So, and I was like, okay, we have to get to the root of the problem. And since he wasn't willing to do that, then, like I said, we went through premarital counseling before we got married, but he didn't want to do it while we were married. So my thing was, I can't stay in this if we don't get to the root of the problem. Right. Because we have to have somebody else come in and look at the situation that's not in here with us to give us some judgment and some wisdom.
I got you. So I'm just trying to think, because I kind of talked to him too, so I kind of know what's going on.
Yes, you did.
I'm trying to think, did anybody, or you know how people are still do in the church or your friends, well, girl, just give it a little more time. God can work it out. It's nothing too strong, it's nothing too big for God. Y'all need to pray on it a lot. So did you get a lot of that?
I did. I would have to say, even in the midst of going through, everything, it got to a point where nobody really believed me. The fact that I'm like, okay, we got to make some decisions, because I would have to say he was a great provider. He's a great husband. He was a great dad, but it got to the point where I knew a decision had to be made, and with me trying to make that decision, of course, others didn't believe me. I mean, I had close family members around me like, no, he's not like that. Just give it, like you said, give it time. It'll pass. But I realized that we were going in two different ways, and so I was like, you know what, something has to give. And in the midst, it took me just praying, talking to God about it, and everybody had a deaf ear to me, because in the natural, everything was perfect. And so, and with that, every time, people always think that, because a person's providing for you, because you're not working, and they look at everything on the outside, they like, but it's still, I knew still more was missing.
Right.
And so in the midst of that, I'm like, okay, Lord, I just can't stay in this, and so it wasn't any abuse, anything like that, like physical abuse, anything like that. But it took me talking to my pastor. I went to go talk to him, and he was the only one that really saw what I saw, because I have discernment and I have these prophetic dreams. So I dreamed something, and in the midst of me dreaming it, I told my family members about it, and they was like, no, there's no way. They didn't believe it. So, but it took me talking to my pastor, and I told him, he was like, nope, you're not crazy. You're right on point. And, and so that was my first encounter with just having these dreams about what was really going on above the surface,
Yeah.
And so once I saw that, then I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm out.
I'm just sitting here thinking, so then how does it make you feel? Because like you said, everybody's looking from the outside, but they can't really see in. So
right.
So you're, like you said, you're not trying to badmouth nobody and anything like that. But when they're looking at you, because you're saying, hey, I'm about to do this, this ain't working. But then, like you said, they're saying, well, wait a minute, like you're saying, y'all got your rides, you don't want for nothing, y'all, everything is taken care of. What's your issue? What's your problem? So how did that make you feel with people saying stuff that, like, like you said, like, what's wrong with you, when you know what's wrong, but won't nobody believe what's wrong?
Right. Absolutely. So it was a different point, because like I said, I'll take that back. I had experienced me having dreams about stuff before it happened. So I've had that gift since I was a child. But at this point, it was just like I dreamed it, and I'm like, wow, because you can dream something and you have nothing in the natural to compare it to. And so when I dreamed it, I'm like, am I crazy? I'm like, where is this coming from? And it hadn't even happened yet, but it was on the way. And so I'm just like, wow. So, I dreamed that my ex-husband had a baby. He had 3 kids. And so that was the dream that I had. And so I confronted him about it, and he was like, no, there's no way, I can, me and you and the boys are enough. And so he told me, no, but I have the prophetic gift. And so he didn't believe, he just tried to push it off. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dreaming this. And so I talked to my close family member about it. I talked to my best friend about it, and they were like, no, there's no way. So they were like, no way. And so, they didn't believe it. And I'm like, okay, Lord. So I kept praying and praying. I'm like, Lord, I'm just like, why am I dreaming this? Why am I having these dreams? And sure enough, when I went to go talk to my pastor one day, I'm like, Lord, if this is true, I need you to talk to this man. Because I'm over here by myself, and I'm like, nobody's trusting me. Nobody's believing me. So I went to the church, and I waited on him to come. And once he came, I talked to him, and he was like, "Yep, you're right. You're right on point. You're not crazy. It is true." And I'm like, okay. And it was just like a relief that came to me, because you know something in the natural, I mean the spiritual, but there's no proof of it in the natural at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, I was like, okay, I'm good. Because all I needed was that one yes, because I'm like, okay, I'm over here by myself. So what do I do with this?
Right. Okay. So now I know you also, like you said, you know, you prayed on stuff. So I know you as a prayer warrior, because when stuff go down, you know, my wife call you and y'all get the shamalama ding dong and on the phone.
Absolutely.
They've been on that phone 3 hours already. So, and the reason I'm bringing this up this way is because since I know you're a prayer warrior and I know you get down on your prayer, so somebody would say, well, wait a minute. If she's such a prayer warrior, why couldn't she save her marriage through prayer and all that kind of? She talk about, you know, well, I'm not gonna say you, but like I said, I know you guys have prayed for things and some breakthroughs have come through, whether with some healings
right.
and other things like that. So somebody would say, well, if she was so anointed in her prayer, then why it didn't work for her marriage? The only reason I'm bringing it up to say this to people, just because you pray for people,
right?
God does not usurp your authority. Your free will is to either accept or not to accept. So just because somebody pray for you, I don't care if you have a whole team of people, a whole church of people, yeah, for somebody. If that person does not want to give in to God, then it ain't going. I don't care how much you pray and how many people you get to pray. God is not going to usurp anybody's will. He gave us free will to choose how we would think, the way we want to think. So just because a whole church is praying for you, that's up to you. If you don't flip that face switch and accept everything that God has for you, then that's how the word says it. It'll turn you over to a reprobate mind because you don't want to do that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, that's true. And I think, and people don't realize that with anything, we are not robots. God can't make us do anything. We have to line up. Our will has to line up with what He has for us. And to go back on that, I would have to say even before the baby came aboard or whatever, but before we went to that step, I would have to say God truly worked, and I saw some miracles happen in our marriage, and I saw God turn this man into just loving Him, loving His word. I saw us praying together and so many things happening in the midst of us praying together. But what happened in the midst of this, and I want to make sure people know this. My ex was so excited about the Lord and so excited about what God was doing his life. And this is what I know that happened that tripped him up. He went back into the world to try and go help some of his friends and witness to them and bring them in, because he was so excited about what God was doing in his life. To the point was, and I told him, I was like, you're not ready. Because we can all get excited about what God is doing in our life. And we're like, when we're born again and we see God moving and we get so excited about the word, we're trying to tell everybody about it. Right. And in the midst of that, he went out to try and witness to them and help them. And I kept telling him, you're not strong enough. You got to go with some other men. He went on his own. And beforehand, instead of him pulling them in, they had pulled him out.
Yeah.
And it can happen, you know. So with everything, there's a cause and effect. So with that, that's exactly what happened. And beforehand, he was doing things that he used to do, you know. And so that started, you know, oh man, you hadn't changed this, things like that. And so their job was to pull him backwards. Right. And it worked. Right. You know, so and that's how it started. So sometimes when people if you're on the line and you're a new believer, or you love God and things like that, and you're just getting interested in the word, be sure when you're witnessing the other that you have somebody else to go with you when you're out. Don't try to do it on your own, because you can go backwards. You know, so I just want to share that with other people as to, you know, there's always a cause and effect to everything. And once you know that cause and effect, you begin to look at things differently.
Yeah, and see, and that's why with Love Sync, that's why, you know, we try to teach everybody to make sure, because just like you said, when you first get saved, this is brand new to you. You know, matter of fact, it's just like when you first start dating somebody that you really know that you want to be with, and it's brand new to you, right? So as it's brand new to you, you go along with it, you have fun with it. You know, it starts dying down.
Right.
So, and same thing, like I said. So your relationship with God and your relationship with people is somewhat the same. So if I'm interested in D, and I want to get to know her. Hey, give me your phone number. I'm talking to you, Yolanda. Let me get your phone number.
Right.
Let me talk to her. Let me holler at her. So I'm talking to her, and we're just talking to get to know one another. But the deal is, I want to talk to her, but I'm not falling in love with her. I'm not trying to build a relationship. I just want to talk to her. You see what I'm saying? It's right. So when you first get saved, you just want to say, hey, man, this is exciting. I'm a Christian now. Because you heard all about it. You ain't trying to fall in love with God. It's just the thing of I'm a Christian now, and you fired up about it. Like I'm trying to show everybody, look at my new fine girlfriend. Ain't she fine? Ain't she pretty? Ain't she cute? But I'm still not building a relationship with her. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when another hot, fine young thing come along, I know, because I haven't built a relationship with this person. So that's what happens. We get all excited and fired up about being a Christian, but we don't fall in love with God. That's the problem. You don't fall in love. But see, once you fall in love with something, then nobody has to ask you to do anything. You want to do it. So you want to find out more about God. You want to get strengthened with God. You want to do all that stuff. So when you do go out there, now I can talk to another fine young thing, but it don't mean nothing to me because I'm in love with D. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what we have to do. Instead of letting people get all fired up and hyped about being a Christian, you should teach them to love God, because God first loved us. And then once you feel that love relationship, then you can kind of go out there and talk to other people. And then now that you know that God loves you and you love God back and you love everything about God. So when somebody say, well, hey, man, come on over here and get a drink with us. Hey, man, come on, go ahead. We're going to go eat and do the legs and eggs at the strip clubs and all that kind of stuff. You won't be tempted to do there because you love God. You see what I'm saying?
Right. And you're rooted in you're totally rooted in his word. So I think you can actually love God, but I think you have to be so rooted in his word that you're strong enough to fight off the temptation.
And see, it's the thing.
Because
also, we
can love him. And it's just like all of us, we still love God, but some people still fall. And so even in the midst of it, I think you have to be to the point where you have to really die to your flesh and realize, you know what? I'm not going here. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. And that takes time with people walking with God, walking his word, is you have to get to the point where you start dying to your flesh.
So now, and
also we have to crucify this body every day until we leave this bad boy, you know, because there's things that we always want, that our body wants, but we have to realize, okay, this is not good for me. You know, so whether it be, you know, eating too much ice cream in the middle of the night, you know what, we have to crucify this flesh and say, okay, no, you know, I'm not going to keep eating this ice cream in the middle of the night, you know, even though my body's craving it. So I think with everything we have to, whether it's natural or spiritual, we have to learn to die to this flesh, because we all our flesh still wants stuff on a daily basis. And so, and we have to learn, okay, hey, I got to stop this. I got to stop overeating. I got to stop, you know, in the middle of the night, I got to stop gossiping, you know, whatever it is, we have to learn to die more to this flesh. And once you do, you'll learn to line your body up with everything else and your spirit as well.
And so what I was going to say is that when we're talking about loving God and then being in love with God, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you said earlier, you still love your ex, but you're not in love with your ex. So there's stuff that you're not going to do with or for your ex because you're not in love with them. as you are because you just love your ex. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Because I love him as a brother in Christ. Yeah. So there's a difference because you still have a respect for a person because you still love them as their, because they are your brother or sister in Christ. And you're not going to throw them under the bus. You're not going to, because that's what love does. Love covers, even in the midst of it. Love always covers. And I want to also speak to everyone too about forgiveness, because even in the midst of it, that's another thing that stops your flow. That's what stops your prayers from being answered too, is walking in unforgiveness. Because I don't care who it is, I don't care what they've done, you have got to still forgive that person. Because it's not for them, it's for you.
Right.
And that releases you of everything that you may have gone through, good or bad, because so many people don't understand that forgiveness is that's linked to love. And that also affects your heart.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I think so many people forget. They say, "Oh, I love God," but you have all this hatred in your heart towards other people. Right. How can you say you love God but you hate other people?
Can't do it. What? Let me read the scripture.
You can't. They don't line up. It doesn't line up.
The scripture, 1 John 4:8 says, "He or children, if you don't love, then how can you love God? You have to love first." He says, "He that knoweth not love knoweth not God, for God is love." So you have to operate in that love. And also with the forgiveness, some people need to forgive themselves, because some people still feel guilt and shame about who they end up marrying or getting with, and then everything that happened with it, they don't forgive themselves to be able to move on sometimes either. So you got to forgive yourself also.
Correct. So, that is so true, because they have to forgive the other person, and then first of all they got to forgive themselves first before they can go and forgive the other person, because it starts with you. Everything we do, whether it's love or whatever, it starts with us first. We got to love ourselves first before we can show love towards other people, and we got to forgive ourselves before we can show forgiveness towards others. And also you have to receive forgiveness from God. Because so many people, they have not forgiven themselves, nor have they received the forgiveness from God, because they still hold themselves captive, and they crucify themselves for whatever they've done in the past.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah.
All right.
And that's the main thing with this walk. We have to learn to walk in freedom. We have to learn to walk in love. And we have to learn to walk in forgiveness. Because even in the midst of me going through everything I went through with my ex, guess who had to go in and say, "I forgive you"? It wasn't him.
Was it you?
It was me. It was me. So, and being the bigger person and knowing the word more, it was up to me to do that. And that's what caused our relationship to get back to where it was. I had to say, "Okay, I forgive you." And then I had to forgive. And I told him, I asked you to forgive me. So whether you think you've done something wrong or not, in order to mend things and also to have a relationship that's healthy, it takes us walking in that truth.
Right.
And just learning to die to ourselves, whether you feel like you've done something wrong or not.
So now let me ask you.
And I tell you, it wasn't easy, but I tell you, it freed me. And that lesson taught me about forgiveness. That was the best lesson that the Lord could have taught me on forgiveness, was that. And learning to just let people go and let him deal with it.
Right. Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, he's the one that dictates what's going to happen. He said, "Vengeance is mine." And so we will get out of our flesh and get to thinking that we got to continue to handle everything on our own and learn to let him do it and let him be God. We can totally walk in freedom.
Right. Exactly. Stress-free.
So, yeah, so that's the best part of it all, is just learning to walk in love and learning to walk in forgiveness towards others and just share Christ. We have to truly share him.
Okay. So,
in the midst of it, share his love, share his joy.
So now here you are, you have to raise 2 boys. Now, what I'm going to ask you is, as a woman of faith, so now how do you think, or how do you believe that you walking in your faith, going with what you went through, how did that help you to raise both of your sons in this atmosphere?
I would have to say that that's what was my foundation. That was my grounding. and also just being in the word, just teaching them, because so many people, they're so quick to tell you, hey, hurry up and get into another relationship. You know, oh, and so many people are quick to hurry up and hook you up with somebody else. when you get coming out of divorce or whatever, and after a while they be like, you know what, evidently she don't want to be married, or what's the problem, so even going through that with the boys, I had to be there for them, and I enjoyed it, because even in the midst of being before I got divorced, I was always with my boys because I didn't work. I was always at home with them. And even after the divorce, I asked God to still give me blocks and blocks of time with my boys, because I felt like love is time. It's not about the things we buy. It's not about the money we spend. So he allowed me to still spend a lot of time with my boys. I mean, they were still able to go through Christian school. God still provided, because that was my heart's desire. So he just allowed me to spend a lot of time with my boys, and I enjoyed it. And then I did finally go back to work after the divorce, but I worked part-time. So my schedule was around their schedule. So when they went to school, I was at work. When they got out of school, I picked them up from school, and we spent the day together after that. So I just thank God for just being able to allow me that time to be with them as a single parent, as a single mother, and show them, instill in them love. I mean, we had Bible study at times in the living room. And if there was an issue, we would just sit down and talk about it. I'm like, no, we're not going to bed angry. That's always been my motto. Even when I was married, I mean, I've always believed, no, we're not going to bed mad. We're going to talk this out. Y'all going to talk it out. And you're going to deal with it until y'all come to a conclusion, because we're not going to bed angry. So, but I thank God for the foundation. I thank God for allowing me to grow in the word as a teenager, and just learn his word so that I can teach my boys what it is to forgive, what it is to believe God for certain things, what it is to tithe, and how it is to speak in tongues, to lay hands on the sick. And so those are just fundamental things that they got to learn along the way, because those are things that I was taught, that I learned to do as I became this new born again believer. So I do thank God for those moments. As a single parent raising two young men, because no, it's not easy raising boys, but it wasn't easy. But I thank God for every moment that I had with them to spend that time with them.
All right, cool. So now, what happened to my big hips friend Robert? What'd you do with Robert?
Who?
Nothing. I'm just messing with you.
Who you say? Who did you say?
Big hips, Robert.
It's so funny. My brother met him. When he first met him, he go, he came, he was like, sis, no.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
But what I will give him, that boy could cook. And y'all know I love to eat. But yeah, my brother was like, nah, sis, no.
You ain't the one, huh?
No, it was funny though.
It was what it was at the time, huh?
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny. Yeah, it took my youngest son to even find out some stuff. It was like my youngest son has always been the kind that's gonna tweet anything he can. He gonna find it out. So
let's shift gears here a little bit. Since
okay.
I down as entrepreneur, prayer warrior, and everything. So let's talk about this right here. 360 100-fold wealth .club. Talk to me about this.
Yes. So yeah, the website is the 3060 100-fold wealth club. And what we have is a lot of different believers that actually come together, and they're able to share their businesses. So the whole platform is for us to learn to work together as believers and everyone share what they have. So whether you sell T-shirts, whether you have your own catering business, whatever you do, whether you make hats, whatever service that you provide, you can actually put it on the website. And that way we're able to help build each other's businesses. And we're not going to someone else. We're working together as a community. Because I don't know if y'all know, but every other community, $1 is spent in that community and it doesn't leave that community at all. So with the 30/60/100 Fold Wealth System, Wealth Club, that's what we have to offer, where everybody puts on their website whatever they do. And so that way we're able to buy from each other and spend money with each other. And so you can actually advertise whatever that you're doing. And we just work together as a community by doing that.
All right, that's good. That's good. Like you said, keep the dollar in community, just like the Asians do, the Jewish do, the Indians do. Everybody do it but us. We're the only ones that go and spend. We're gonna spend money on all the other people. We won't spend none on our own. It's always right. Even till this day. There's still the Mr. Charlie's ice is colder than yours type mentality. In other words, they go spend their money with somebody else before they spend their money with a black person. So yeah, we definitely got to get out of that mindset. So right. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. So do you know how many people or how many businesses have subscribed to your site already?
I would have to say it's probably about 30 businesses now. That are on there. We have, a lot of people don't have businesses that are part of it, but they still want to be members. But so we have probably about 30 businesses on there now that are advertising.
Okay, yeah.
And some of them, they come and go. So as people click on the website, they get so many credits. So as everybody clicks on it, they actually go away. So they have to turn around and purchase more ad credits to be able to advertise on the website. And it doesn't matter whether you're in Texas or any other state, you can advertise your business on there.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. So yeah, it's just like you said, so it's all black owned businesses, period, whether you're in state, out of state, or whatever the case may be. As long as you black owned, you can.
Well, it's not really black owned because it's Christian owned.
Christian, okay, faith based then. All right.
So they're all faith based. So it doesn't matter whether you're black or white, it doesn't matter your color. It's all faith-based ministries, different businesses that are on there. All right. So that's mainly what we advertise. So it's like all of us working together as a community to make sure that we're helping one another.
All right, cool. So also besides that, now, I don't know if you want to talk about the other 50 things you do. So about, I don't know, you still doing taxes, insurance, building homes?
Absolutely.
Building homes, laying grout, photography.
Yes, I'm a woman of many hats. I tell you, they always laugh at me and say, God gave me many talents. I actually do insurance.
Okay. Now, and the tax time is coming up.
It is coming up, and it's going to be a little delayed this year, of course. But my main I still do taxes. My main focus this year would be, of course, life insurance. And also people that need pre-need planning. So if you need to pre-plan your funeral, I can help you with that, or get some life insurance, or either cancer insurance as well. But my main goal this year will be to also with Forever Free Ministries. We're going to be doing that. It's going to be a bunch of women coming together, praying. Some of you all may already got an invitation through Facebook, through Messenger. So feel free, if you have not joined, to go ahead and join that group. It's going to be a different women praying, interceding as well. But as far as business wise, I'm going to be helping. My whole venture this year is to help people become debt free. That's always been my passion. So we're going to help people pay off their houses that have homes, so that way they can free up some money and get rid of their credit cards, student loans, auto loans, things like that. So the key is to give people back their title to their homes that they've been paying so long on.
Right. Exactly.
And we all know with this economy, right now, a lot of people may be, facing evictions, foreclosures, things like that. So it's the perfect time for us to be able to help a lot of people go ahead and pay off their houses.
All right, great. So now, so anybody that want to go ahead and get the taxes done, insurance done, what else you do? You do hair.
Help people pay off their homes.
Micro braids.
No, you can leave that one away from me because I don't know nothing about hair.
But go ahead and
look. Thank God. Look, I have a granddaughter, but thank God, we've been at the beauty shop.
Yeah. Go ahead and tell everybody. Give them all the different ways they can get a hold of you, then, so they can get in contact you with anything that they heard you say and they need help with. So how can they get a hold of you?
Okay, so yeah, if anyone wants to get a hold of me, if you need any help with life insurance or any pre-need planning, or if you need to get your taxes done or help get your house paid off, my name is, of course, Yolanda Williams, and my phone number is 214-403-4926. Again, that's 214-403-4926. And that's Yolanda Williams. That's my name.
All right, nigga, hit you up on Facebook too, Craig.
Yes, I am on Facebook as well, but it's best to call me.
Oh, you better
Yeah.
call her, huh? All right.
Yeah, it's best to call me or text me instead of trying to reach me on Facebook. But you can message me on Facebook as well. But the quickest way to reach me is either by calling or texting me.
Okay, so just so I can make sure we get everybody out there on that. Let me do this real quick.
Okay.
Let's see. Yo Bug. No. So it's 214 what?
403
Mm-hmm.
4926.
All right, cool. So we'll do this real quick. Let them see that for a few minutes so they can try to see if they can get a hold of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get a hold of Miss Yolanda Williams, the entrepreneur, AK boss lady, AK, she can get anything done for you. And then if you need prayer, that's the ultimate prayer warrior. If she prays for you, it will come true. If you ready to receive. If you're not ready to receive, then hey, just let her know I ain't ready to receive. Don't pray for me yet. If you're ready to get all that stuff done, then you call her at that number right there that's floating around at the bottom of the screen. So, young lady, I appreciate you being my first interview today. You got me started off right, so I can't wait for the other two later. Y'all, so,
Okay.
Gentlemen, put your hands together for Miss, one more time, Yolanda Williams. Talk to you later, girl.
Glory to God. Bye, y'all. Thank y'all. Have a wonderful day. Thank my brother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's been Miss Yolanda Williams. Y'all saw her right there. Make sure you get with her. I'm let the number scroll across the screen until I get through. So if you like what you saw today and you want to be a subscriber, so anytime our other videos come up, or if you miss them on YouTube, make sure that you go to Love Sync, one word, Love Sync Ministries, and go to our YouTube page. Like I said, make sure you subscribe, share the videos, watch all the other videos from Love Sessions, Love Talk, all that other good stuff. We want to pump this thing up so we can monetize this, so we can start giving money away to you. Like I said, the 100 subscribers is going to get $100. And then once that gets there, we're going to run the random generator. So anybody from the first subscriber all the way to the 99th subscriber, you have a chance of winning $100 also. So make sure you get on there. And when you subscribe, make sure you have it on public so I can see your name. Now, if you just want to subscribe just to build it up, I appreciate that too, because the more we get to these subscribers and build up those YouTube hours, watch the videos, do all that stuff. Like I said, the sooner we can monetize Facebook and YouTube, the sooner I can start giving this money away to you. So make sure you do that. So once again, y'all join me for my second interview at 2 o'clock today with Miss Camelia Dion. She called herself Dion. She was a DJ down at KHVN. She has her own podcast and everything now. So we're going to talk to her. So once again, y'all come back at 2 o'clock and get on with me. This has been Brother Darryl McGriff with Love Sync Ministry. This has been Love Session. So like we always say, make sure you continuously walk in love, because you might be the only love somebody sees that day. So until next time, you guys walk in love, be safe, social distance, and keep that